Hello everybody, if you'll please excuse my uneven fingernails and bandaged finger. Today I'm coming to you with it's technically one, but in two books, my mini happy planner and my Recollections vertical planner, because I got a question on a video recently where I was asked which of the two do I prefer. The mini happy planner that I used is in 2 volumes because the pages were getting real chunky. And the Recollections vertical is just the 12-month 2018. It's January through December. It wasn't the super extra chunky, what would it be? I guess 18-month that came out in July of last year, because that was just way too big for me. And I actually bought one of those and talked about it in a previous video. I think really that each of them has its own very specific pros and cons. I don't know why I'm just moving them around. And so what I thought I'd do, I grabbed this gridded notebook that I got from Michael's that I don't use for really much of anything. I've just done a couple of things on the first pages, which aren't very exciting. And I'm going to kind of write down my pros and cons list as I tell you about each planner type. One of the first pros I have for the mini happy planner is that it's compact. By which I mean it's fairly small. Each page, I'm going to turn to a random spread here. Actually, well, it's better to show you this way. The 2 pages of the mini happy planner are approximately the size of 1 page in the Recollections. And there's not a lot of surface area to cover, and so I guess in a way for decorative planning, for me, for someone who hasn't been doing this for a while, it was a lot less intimidating to have a compact format to work in. As to cons of this happy planner, I'm like just having it open right now, I'm immediately thinking of the fact that it's lined. The fact that it's lined was really annoying to me as I was trying to decorate this planner because I wanted to draw things and it just looked awkward because I, like here, I've got a YouTube box and it's just got lines going through it, and I didn't like that. I didn't feel like I had, I couldn't work with just pens by themselves. And every now and then when I'd use a heart checklist, as you see right here, oh, no you don't, it's not on camera. As you see right here, the hearts would stop lining up with the lines after a certain point, and that was kind of upsetting. Let's see, another con I would say for the mini happy planner is the rings. However, another pro is the rings. Let me explain. So one thing I think is great about the mini happy planner is when you want to plan, you can take out your pages. And then once you have finished the pages, you can put them back in. That way you don't have the spiral, the rings getting in the way as you're trying to write over here, because I'm right-handed. If I had to keep this page in here, this would get in my way as I tried to write on it, But at the same time, as was demonstrated when I was flipping this planner open earlier, unless you hold it in exactly the right way, the pages, see what's happening? They get caught. They don't actually turn that easily. And I don't like that I have to struggle with the pages to turn them. So that is both a pro and a con, the rings, which I don't know, maybe the right word is discs. So now I want to switch gears and talk a bit about the Recollections vertical. I've only really done about 5 spreads in my Recollections vertical. I'm going to say that, kind of like I just did with the mini happy planner, the spiral is both a pro and a con. I like that it is very easy to turn these pages. I'm not struggling like I was with the mini happy planner. So that's a pro. I also like the spiral. It's big, it's thick, it's sturdy. It's just satisfying to touch it. So I think the spiral is a pro. However, then we get back to why the rings were a pro for the Mini Happy Planner. If I am working on this side, I do have to open the planner, turn it around to be able to write here, and I might still have my hand running into the spiral as I try to mark something down on the page. And that's just annoying. It's not a huge inconvenience. Nothing here is a huge inconvenience that I'm complaining about, but if I'm gonna break them down, I would say that that is something that I also see as a con for this planner. Another pro, the clearly delineated sections of this planner. So to explain what I mean by that, with the Mini Happy Planner, you have a box, and it's like, do whatever you want in the box. And I like that freedom, but with the Recollections vertical, you've got these 3 sections. And so what do you want to do with the sections? You can do whatever you want. Like, you know, what's a better example of this? It's like how I see people using their headers. In this particular week, I differentiated between to do and home. Even though home was sometimes to do, I had so much stuff going on in my apartment this week that a home section seemed to make sense. I can also like do a whole section for the YouTube button, for example. As with the Mini Happy Planner though, and I don't know, this is a pattern for me. I would say that the clearly delineated sections are also a con, because then I have to figure out, well, what is it I'm going to do with these 3 different sections? As in this week, which was a really light week, all of a sudden I had all of this space and I didn't know what to label it or what to call it. Looking at this now, I'm reminded, well actually especially at this spread, I'm reminded of something that I think is a con in both planners. So I'm going to write that in. So what I just wrote for both of these planners, a con is that they are both colorful. Now, I think what I'm going to do, some extra stars by colorful as a con for the Recollections vertical, because when I go through the Mini Happy Planner, we've got all these different, and especially because it was this watercolor theme, you know, these come in so many different color schemes. And so for example, the month of July, I had black stripes to work with. And I mean, that was a pretty unobtrusive pattern. The month of August, they were green stripes. September, it's like this, whoa, here's that disc problem. September, it's this watercolor pattern. And does that necessarily match this kit? Kind of, but also not. The pink sure isn't in there. September, we get back to green stripes. So we had, and then just to continue on, November, it was orange, whatever. I will say the most frustrating one though, even though this was an undated planner and I ended up, you know, technically doing this to myself, we had teal lines and teal dots along here. And that to me was not a very December-y color, so I had to figure out how am I going to work with this and also make it look like December. Luckily, the answer to that was basically, except for that 1 week, Target. But anyway, I really, you know, I don't like so much that I had those patterns to work with in the Mini Happy Planner that were stopping me from really using whatever colors I wanted, because on occasion, and I don't remember what month I did this in, but on occasion I would alter the center line right here where the pattern was. I'm gonna find it in just a minute, I'm sure of it. By just a minute, I guess I mean like eternity. On occasion, I would want to completely cover up this center pattern with washi. And then I had to repunch the holes. And the holes that I punched were circular. I don't know if you can see this. Actually, let me put it by the camera so then you can see. The holes I punched were circular rather than the standard Happy Planner pattern, which is this like half circle with a key coming off of it. And so as a result, those pages turn a little bit differently. Maybe actually they turn a little better. But then, like on the next spread, I knew that it does not quite match up, the little tiny holes. And that is such a tiny complaint, but not having the right hole punch and being too cheap to buy the right hole punch, that was a little bit of an inconvenience. So the colors were an issue there. However, I think colors will be more of an issue in this planner, and that's because there's only 3 of them. We've got teal. Next month, pink. Next month, purple. And then we're back to teal. And then we've got pink. And then we've got purple. Now, this would be, I mean, and really honestly, I think this is usually not much of a problem for people who buy a lot of stickers, because they're going to buy little headers that cover up each of these little sections, so it's not going to be an issue for them. Actually, kind of the same thing goes with the borders in here. People who have the actual Happy Planner punch, I'm sure don't have a problem putting washi in and then punching the holes, and then they don't have to worry about, oh, this page might fall out because my hole is slightly bigger and differently shaped. So, I don't know. In that case, it seems maybe I need to add another note to colorful, and I'll just make them both in blue because this is a footnote. These might be that they are colorful, but the real issue at hand is the fact that I'm cheap. Or, as to say it a little more nicely, I'm thrifty. But that creates some undue problems. If you were to count up the number of things that I've said about each of them, it would seem that I have exactly equal things on both of them. Good job, self. What a definitive list. And honestly, this is probably the biggest problem of all. Another item to add to the list, I'm going to shove this out of my way for now because it's in the way. I would say that a pro of the Recollections vertical is that there is lots of inspiration on how to work in a vertical planner already on YouTube. So when I was super intimidated to finally start planning in my Recollections vertical planner, as soon as I started doing it, I was like, wait, I know how to do this. I'll have like one section that's like a full box on every day. I'll have 2 boxes that are a weekend banner, and I'll have a section, and I'll always have sections labeled to do because those are the headers that people buy. So even though initially I was like, oh, I'm so intimidated, as soon as I was doing it, I was like, wait, I know how to do this. Continuing the fact that this is very paradoxical and a really terrible list, I've now added the fact that there is not a lot of inspo to Mini Happy Planner as actually a pro. And how does that work? That's because I think that it's kind of fun that I have not found, and sure, they're definitely out there. I've watched them, I've mentioned them in other videos, but there have not been nearly as many people who plan in a Mini Happy Planner and make videos about it as there are people who plan in a vertical style planner like Happy Planner, Erin Condren, Recollections Vertical, etc. So I've had less people to watch consistently and try to copy their style. But therefore it's forced me to be more creative. So I ended up kind of coming up with my method for filling the Mini Happy Planner. After a few test runs, I kind of started settling into this idea of I fill up this box at the bottom with whoever knows what, maybe just washi. I usually would write a to-do list left aligned. I would usually put washi at the top. And then after a while, I started throwing in like crazy experimental things like this giant unicorn piece. And then I started playing with washi banners because I saw that. And so it was kind of fun for me to take these techniques I was learning from people who were planning in vertical planners and adapt them to the Mini Happy Planner. So now where are we on our lists? Still not showing a clear winner. something else I thought of that I do want to add in to my evaluation of these two planners. I have evaluated the Mini Happy Planner as fun and useful, and the Recollections Vertical as fun but not as useful. What's up with that? Well, unfortunately, to be honest, these two elements mostly have to do with me as a person and not with the planners themselves and kind of the period of life that I was going through. So, to make a long story extremely short, in the year that I was doing my Mini Happy Planner, I was going through a very difficult time in my graduate school life and maybe kind of life in general. And so planning every Sunday afternoon, the week coming up ahead, was a really relaxing and useful thing to do because I would look at the stuff I had to do and maybe it didn't seem that great. Maybe it was way too much, or I wasn't very enthused about the things that I had to do. But I could make myself get more excited to do them because I was laying them out beforehand. And honestly, I think that this item, fun but not useful, not as useful, could have applied to my Mini Happy Planner in the latter half of the year, at which point I think I was generally happier and more occupied with more things and not having the time to sit down and plan out the week coming up ahead because I was already doing it effectively enough in my other planner, and I didn't need to pretend that my life was pretty and had order because I was enjoying what was happening. And that's kind of where I come in with Recollections Vertical being fun but not as useful. Right now, I don't use it at the beginning of the week. I am using another planner, which I've made some videos about, which I'm absolutely in love with, and which I am both functional and a little decorative with. And it has been amazing. I am so in love with this planner. If I ever lose it, I would probably die. So it has been a really big deal to me to get to use that planner and to look at the week using it. So I don't open my Recollections Vertical at the beginning of every week. I don't open it consistently at all, actually. So just whenever I feel like doing a plan with me, I'll come back in and it's all memory planning. So it can still be fun. It can still be a good exercise, but it's definitely not as useful. However, I can see this item moving over into a pro of Recollections Vertical as the year goes on, because in the latter half of the year, I am going to have a lot of stuff going on that's going to be really unpleasant, and that is just part of my program. And it's not that I don't like my program, it's just like going to the next step. I'm not going to get into that now. But anyway, I just know that the year is going to get harder as it goes on. So, final answer. What would I say was my favorite out of these two planners? Right now, if I really had to pick, I would go with the Mini Happy Planner. However, I'm also happy that I'm now trying something different in the Recollections Planner, because as much as I enjoyed the Happy Planner, I think one of the things I like about it is that I'm used to it. And now I'm kind of comfortable with the format, and I know how to experiment in it. And some of the things that maybe I dislike about this planner are also the things that it challenges me to do. You know, the fact that maybe it's not as useful now is still challenging me to take some time that is not focused on doing something academic or something work related, and just doing something cool and, you know, silly for YouTube. The Mini Happy Planner, when I first started, was a very arduous process. I would take 40 minutes to film one video, and that's not even chatting. I would spend so much time thinking about what I was going to do, and I would agonize over it, which is why I had so many Mini Happy Plan with me's when I would be like, wow, I really calmed down for this one. I just went with the flow. I messed up and I'm gonna keep going. It was a really big deal for me that I was able to do that. And now I'm maybe a little more reckless and maybe a little more fearless in the Recollections Vertical, but it's a format I'm still getting used to, and I'm also really excited for the possibilities of this planner. As you may or may not have noticed, I now have a Tumblr account, and I'm following a lot of study blurs, which is people just taking pictures and sharing tips for serious study of an academic subject or just anything that they love, you know, language study or music or whatever. And they'll post these great like inspirational pictures and bullet journals. And while bullet journaling is not useful for me, I don't have time to create the whole format. I think that I'll be able to experiment with the bullet journal aesthetic that I see so often in those videos, and I'm excited to do that in my Recollections planner. So thank you for joining me for this video. I'm sorry that my conclusions were maybe a little, wishy-washy on both sides, but I enjoyed getting to share my thoughts on both of these planners. I hope that you are having a fabulous day, that you consider liking this video if you enjoyed it, subscribing to my channel if you want to see more, and I think I already told you to have a good day, so I messed up my outro, but have a really good day, because I'm going to say it again. Bye.